Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is essentially a user's manual for your mind, all based on the fantastic work of biologist John Medina. So let's just start with this quote from Medina. If you wanted to create a business environment that was directly opposed to what the brain was good at doing, you probably would design something like a cubicle. It's a pretty provocative idea, right? His whole book, Brain Rules, argues that our modern world is basically at war with our ancient brains.
So, to really get why that's a problem, we've got to ask a basic question. What were our brains actually built for? And the answer, well, it takes us way, way back.
Think about it. For most of human history, our brains were evolving to solve one kind of problem: survival. And that happened in this really unstable, outdoor environment where we were almost always moving. And what do we do now? We stick that same brain in a chair for 8 hours a day inside a totally predictable artificial box. That is a massive disconnect.
And here's a number to really put that into perspective. 12 miles. That's how far our ancestors' brains evolved to walk. Every single day. And deep down, our modern couch potato brain still craves that movement.
Okay, so this huge gap between our ancient wiring and our modern lives, it explains so many of our daily struggles. And let's start with a big one: our ability to actually pay attention.
I mean, why is it so hard to stay focused during a boring meeting or a long lecture? Is it just us? Well, Medina says no. It's because our brain's attention system isn't designed to pay attention to just anything. It's incredibly picky. It's on the lookout for very specific, high-stakes stuff. Medina has a great term for what our brain is looking for: an emotionally competent stimulus, or ECS. Basically, our brains are hardwired to snap to attention for information that is emotionally charged. Things related to survival, threats, reproduction, or just really powerful patterns. Boring stuff? It has no ECS, so our brain just checks out. All right, so what about multitasking? That thing we all pride ourselves on. Turns out it's a total myth. Our brains are what you'd call sequential processors. They can only do one thing at a time. So when you think you're multitasking, your brain is actually doing this frantic 4-step dance. It has to alert itself there's a switch, activate the rules for the new task, then disengage, and then activate the rules for the next one.
And that constant, rapid switching, it comes at a huge cost. The research is really clear on this. People who get interrupted a lot take 50% longer to finish something. And, get this, they make up to 50% more mistakes. It's just not an efficient way for our brains to work.
So, paying attention is one thing. But what about actually remembering the information? That brings us to how this ancient brain of ours handles the whole business of memory. You know how some memories just stick without any effort at all? Like you can remember every detail of an amazing concert from years ago. That's automatic processing. But then there's trying to remember a new password. Ugh, that takes real, conscious, brain-draining effort to get it into your head. So what's the secret to turning that effortful stuff into a long-term memory? It's all about repetition. But, and this is the crucial part, not just any old repetition. Your brain loves it when you space things out over time. Cramming everything in at the last minute, yeah, as you can see, that information just falls right off a cliff. But spacing it out, that's how you build a memory that actually lasts.
But here's the thing. Even the best learning techniques in the world can be totally sabotaged. And that's because our brains were just not designed to handle the #1 assault of modern life: chronic stress. The psychologist Martin Seligman did these famous and kind of intense experiments. He found that when a creature is put under severe stress that it can't control or escape, its brain can just give up. He called it learned helplessness. It's a state where the brain stops even trying to learn or find a way out, even when an opportunity shows up.
And this isn't just a psychological thing, you guys. It has real, measurable effects on your brain power. Adults who are dealing with chronic stress perform up to 50% worse on tests of reasoning and memory than people with low stress. Stress hormones like cortisol are literally damaging the parts of your brain you need for learning.
Medina shares this really powerful story from his own mom, who was a teacher. She had this star student, Kelly, who all of a sudden just collapsed. academically, socially, everything. And when his mom looked into it, she realized the problem wasn't in her classroom at all. It was all coming from the turmoil of her parents' divorce at home.
And that story reveals a pretty shocking truth. One of the single greatest predictors of how well you'll do at school or at work, it's not your IQ, it's not your talent, it's the emotional stability of your home life. If your home base is unstable and stressful, it basically hobbles your brain's ability to learn.
So this all sounds a little grim, right? If our world and our brains are so mismatched, what are we supposed to do about it? How do we get back to being the amazing learners we were born to be? Well, Medina says we should look to the real experts on the subject.
And who are the experts? Babies. Babies are the ultimate learning machines, and they don't learn by just sitting there like little sponges. No way. They are active, tireless explorers. They're basically little scientists. They observe, they form a hypothesis, they run an experiment, and they draw a conclusion. They are constantly poking and prodding their world to figure it out. Medina captures this perfectly. He tells of walking with his young son, who found an entire universe of wonder on a tiny stretch of sidewalk. A pebble, a weed, a line of ants. After 15 minutes, they'd only gone 20 feet. It was a powerful reminder of that intense, natural curiosity that we all start out with.
And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. In a world that is constantly demanding that we be efficient, that we focus, that we sit still and pay attention, when was the last time you gave your ancient explorer's brain permission to just be curious? When was the last time you let yourself simply explore?